Welcome to the So You Want to Build a House podcast. I'm your host, Scott, and I'm here with my co-host, Keith.
Hey.
And today we are taking one of the largest risks in podcast history. We're going to make predictions. Right? And you think, why is that a risk? Well, here's the thing. The internet's forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you say something that isn't true and it's in your podcast, then everyone can listen. Your error becomes permanently enshrined on the web.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make some predictions. So right now we're recording this. It's really the end of 2023. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to get a crystal ball out.
Yep.
Yeah. No, we're
And
not.
shake it.
Shake it.
And
No, that's the 8-ball thing. You can only ask that one certain
oh,
questions.
yeah.
And then you look and it's like unclear, shake again.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Yes, no.
So the crystal ball, you kind of just stroke the top of it and all the clouds inside of it.
Isn't that
dissipate.
how that worked? There was like a cartoon. I've never actually seen a real crystal ball.
Yeah. I don't know. It just reminds me of like Aladdin or something.
Right. I think that was a lamp.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it is.
So listen, we don't have a crystal ball or a lamp or even one of those magic 8 balls that we played with as kids. But what we're going to do is we're going to make some predictions about what the housing market is going to do in 2024. And so you'll be able to look back on this podcast and go, wow, these guys nailed it, or what a couple of dunces.
Yep. It's going to be one or the other.
It's going to be one or the other because, predictions don't typically age well, but we have the self-confidence that we're going to put this on the pod. We're going to drop it in early 2024, and we're just going to leave it there.
Let's see.
So the basic premise that we're going to talk about is the idea of supply and demand. Keith, did you take economics in high school? Was that a requirement for you?
In high school, no. In college, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you give us a brief thing about supply and demand, how that works?
Yeah. Supply and demand is basically, kind of a pulley. You have supply, and as supply goes up, demand goes down, and as demand goes up, supply goes down. It's sort of a...
Right. And so they're kind of tied to each other.
Yeah.
And they drive economic because you have, what is it? Is it scarcity and abundance? Are those the economic terms?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
I mean,
know.
Those are English words that mean what they should mean for to relate to that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you have a lot of a thing and you have too much of that thing, then the demand for it goes down.
Right, and the cost goes down because there's enough for demand. But if there's more people that want your thing than you have of your thing.
Mm-hmm. We saw that. Good example of that was in the COVID era where stuff was, not, they weren't producing as much of
right.
things, and demand was super high because people were at home and they wanted to purchase stuff.
Like paper towels.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yep. So, if you got paper towels on eBay, you're in a pretty interesting market.
That's very true. I think I still have paper towels on auto ship. I have like a supply now.
Yeah.
I'm like scarred from COVID. Like my grandparents who lived through the Great Depression. Every time like I'd go to my grandmother's house and I wouldn't like finish my peas.
Yeah.
She'd be like, I remember when no one had peas.
I remember that.
Eat your peas, you little turd. And that was it, man. I had to eat the peas. Well, now I'm like scarred by that. I'm like, if I don't have 4 cases of paper, if I don't have a year's supply of paper towels in my basement right now, I'm like,
I could run out.
Right. Well, you remember what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. You're not wrong. It was wild.
Right.
It was wild.
And there's a lot of spills in my house. I need to be prepared years in advance. Anyway. So, yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk about, so supply and demand are just sort of a thing. And so I look at this and I have zero background in economics. But, basically, hey, 1 + 1 still equals 2. So the market is very predictable. I actually did see a video on TikTok where someone said that if you say 1 + 1 = 2, that's racist.
That sounds like, that sounds like the year we're in.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Which I'm not going to unpack that. And all I'm saying is that math has right and wrong answers. And, that it might be racist, but if the right answer is racist, then I would like people that design like bridges and planes to be racists.
Yeah, because you want them you want them to be well versed in
you want
in
them to
math.
be right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I'm driving over a bridge,
Yeah.
I want the engineer that designed it to
Yeah.
say the bridge isn't going to fall over, and I want that person to be correct
Yeah.
in that assumption
Yeah.
and those calculations.
So we're gonna aim to be correct.
We're going to aim to be correct. So listen, if you don't have time to listen to the rest of this podcast, I'm going to make it easy for you. Affordability is going to remain terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Houses are expensive right now. There's not a lot for sale. And if you think that's going to change, because when you came into 2023, everybody was talking about, hey, is real estate going to crash? Is real estate going to crash? Is 2008 happening over and over again? And we're going to unpack a little of that later. But the short answer is nope.
It's a completely different thing.
Right. And it comes back to Keith's principle of supply and demand, and it works like this. There are a certain number of houses in the United States, right? And so it doesn't matter if this is like a rental apartment, that counts as a house.
Anything that
mansion,
can be resided in.
something that can be resided in. And what has happened in the United States since 2007 is that there have not been enough houses built to accommodate population growth, household formation, and aging inventory, right? So what that means is that every year a certain number of people move to this country, and they have to live somewhere.
Yep.
Certain households are formulated. Like, so you have that wonderful event when your children are old enough to move out of your house and into a place of their own. That the household, and there has to be a new housing unit. They used to live in your basement. You couldn't wait for them to leave. Now they're gone.
Yep.
And they got to live somewhere. And so you get household formation. And then you just have the fact that some houses just get so old that they can't really be a part of the U.S. housing stock anymore. They have just reached the end of their life, and so they need to be knocked down, or they end up becoming abandoned. And listen, this doesn't really always apply nationwide, because not everybody wants to live anywhere. Meaning, if you go looking for a house, people say, well, where do you want to live? The United States. Well, most people are a little pickier than that. They're just, because there's a difference between Florida and Minnesota.
Yeah.
There's a difference between, Detroit and Austin, Texas. And Detroit's population peaked in 1950, and Austin's is still growing, and Detroit's is not. And we're not going to unpack that, but we are going to say that you can get a house for cheap in Detroit and probably not in Austin, Texas. And that's supply and demand.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you have to understand that by anybody who keeps stats, and this could be like the National Association of Home Builders, the National Association of Realtors, Fannie and Freddie that do mortgage financing, Housing and Urban Design, HUD by the federal government, state agencies. There's a lot of people that track housing, and every one of them will say that we are millions of houses short in the United States for what we need to have.
How many millions is it estimated?
I mean, you can have estimates as high as like 7 to 9 million and as low as 3.
Oh, my goodness.
And so, but what you're not having is anybody saying there's enough houses.
Right.
And so, but you can also get a pretty accurate number to say that in order to keep up with the U.S. population, all that, we have to build a certain number of houses a year. And we really haven't hit that number since 2007. So in 2022, there were more than 1 million single-family homes built in the United States. And that's we need to be at like 1.1, 1.2 single-family, 1.1 million, 1.2 million.
To keep pace.
To keep pace.
Mm-hmm.
We hit that number in 2022, but we hadn't hit it since 2007. And when you talk about the real estate crash of the early 2010s, you're talking about that number was at like 300,000.
Yeah.
And so that creates a housing deficit. Now, prior to that, for a couple of years, they had built more than was required. So that's why you had the housing crash, right? Basically, supply and demand. All of a sudden, there was way too many houses.
Yeah, it flipped. Yeah.
It flipped.
Mm-hmm.
But for the last 15 years, they haven't built enough to keep up. So that overbuilding of the early 2000s is long gone and been replaced by a deficit. And in so many places, we see this in the Delaware market of people are moving here. They're moving here from someplace in Maryland or Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or New York by and large. And there are the housing there is incredibly expensive, and it's incredibly limited because the local laws restrict building.
Mm-hmm.
And because they restrict the building, the houses are very expensive.
Yep.
And they just don't have anywhere to go. And the taxes are high. Nobody wants to stay there past a certain season in their lives. And so they're getting out, and they want to go somewhere that's a little less
That's cheaper.
That's cheaper.
That's why markets like, you mentioned Austin, Texas earlier.
Right.
You mentioned, you talk about like Nashville, some of these places that offer lower taxes. Delaware's one of those.
It is.
In the property taxes.
Absolutely. And so, but what you have is a lot of people that don't want the development in their backyard. And so they shut it down where they are, and then they go somewhere else. And that's just sort of the way things go, and that's okay. But what you're not going to have is it's very hard in the United States right now for this country to build enough houses per year to keep up with that year's demand, to let alone to catch up.
Right.
So this supply problem isn't going away anytime soon.
Right. So what does that mean for 2024 exactly? I mean, it seems like interest rates, they're coming down a little bit.
Right.
We're seeing a little bit.
So interest rates are So at the end of 2023, mortgage rates on houses started to drop pretty quickly. And this is after an incredible run-up from 2021 to basically the fall of 2023. You had mortgage rates go from the low 3s to about 8%.
Yeah,
in
it's
about
insane.
2 years. And what that does is it takes a lot of people out of the home buying market.
Mm-hmm.
And now most housing that was sold previously to, say, now was used houses. And so generally speaking, people that are buying used houses are also selling used houses. Well, now there's a huge chunk of the American population that has this really low mortgage rate. And if they go and they sell the house that has their, say, 3.5% mortgage rate, they have to go buy something at 8. They can't even afford their house anymore.
Yeah.
So they're not what you want to do is you want to move up. Like your kids get bigger, you're making a little bit more money, whatever, you want to move up into a house. You can't afford to move up because now you got to go out and get an 8% mortgage rate.
Yeah.
So as that rate slowly floats down, which it should in 2004. So first prediction is mortgage rates are going to decline. The end of this year, they're a little under 7. We think they're going to continue to drop into the 6s and ultimately land somewhere into the 5s. And as you do that, houses become affordable. So a person that could afford a house, say it was a $500,000 house, they can't afford it at 8%. They might be able to afford it at 6 or 5.5. So that adds buyers to the market, but I'm not sure that adds sellers to the market.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if I have a 3.5% rate, I don't know that 5.5% rates make me move up in my house or allow me to do that. If I don't want my mortgage payment to get that much bigger, I might have a ton of equity, but it's locked up because it's too expensive to move.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing. Mortgage rates are going to probably drift down, but here's the bad news. Because of the inventory problem, I think prices are going to drift up.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that has defied a lot of predictions in 2023. So if you look at the end of 2022, everybody said, well, the housing prices have to decline. And the reality is they're up in 2023 over 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And they're up because there's nothing for sale.
Yeah.
And so when the inventory is this low, that you get stuck in that loop of there's nothing for sale, and so that drives the price up of what is for sale because there are a certain number of people that have to buy.
There's no competition for, you don't have, so many houses on the market where people are trying to undercut one another, and and that's what kind of creates some opportunity for people to move up in house.
Right. And you're 100% right. And to give you perspective on that, so we have a lot of historical data on the Sussex County, Delaware MLS. So if you go to 2010, and 2010 was not a good real estate market. The real crash in real estate started in 2007, continued in 2008. We had this huge recession in 2009. Just a lot of pain in this country. But if you track inventory and the sales pace, which is the months of inventory. So if you take the number of houses that are available in a certain month and you divide that by the sales pace of how many houses sold that month, it gives you a months of inventory figure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to give you a perspective that if you look at this data nationally, the general consensus among people that track this stuff is that 6 months is a balanced market. So if there is
6 months of
supply,
inventory to sell.
So at the current sales rate, there's 6 months of inventory. You're looking at a market that is balanced between buyer and seller.
Mm-hmm.
So in December of 2010, knowing that 6 months is considered a balanced rate, in Sussex County, Delaware, there was 25.8 months of inventory.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot. So the conclusion to do in that market is that is an incredible buyer's market.
Yeah, yep.
Because there are literally so many houses for sale and so few buyers. And so if you're in that market and you can buy in 2010, there were deals.
Yep.
Good deals. Now, it's so in 2023 so far, and there's still a couple of days left of 2023, so this data is not 100% accurate, but it's close enough. There's 3.4 months of inventory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's still a seller's market.
So here it's a strong seller's market.
Mm-hmm.
So the theory is anything under 6 is going to be a seller's market.
Right.
Anything under, anything over 6 is going to be a buyer's market. But you know, it's really hard to get that number to 0.
Mm-hmm.
And so in Sussex County, and I have been working in the real estate industry in Sussex County since 2002. This is some of the lowest inventory numbers that we've ever seen. And that a balanced market, a normal market around here probably has 9 or 10 months of inventory. Sussex County floats a little higher because there's a lot of discretionary purchases that happen here that don't happen in other markets.
Right, sure. Yeah.
Second homes.
Yep.
People that are kind of flexible about buying a retirement
Boats.
home. Yeah.
Whatever, vacations.
Right. So usually back in like 2019 and all that before COVID, it was right down around 9 or 10 months, and that was pretty normal. So it's a 3.4. And that just tells you it's a very strong seller's market. And like buyers don't want to hear that. So what's going to happen is I think there are buyers that can afford it, and they're probably saying, look, I don't want to buy until mortgage rates go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my prediction is as mortgage rates go down, house prices are going to rise.
Yep.
And so that a house that would cost, I don't know, say if the mortgage payment on a house is $3,000 a month right now in December of 2023, I would guess in December of 2024, you're still looking at that $3,000 payment. The difference is going to be is that you're paying a lower interest rate and a higher price.
Right.
And so what you do, unfortunately, if you're not in that market, is that appreciation, that price rise, is you're paying for that. You're not taking part of it. That is a cost to you, and you're not building equity. And so there's these people, and they're waiting for the real estate market to crash. And according to my predictions, that's not happening.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it really just comes down to, college economics or high school economics that says that there's just not enough supply. And I don't see the supply changing.
Yeah, what would need to happen in order for supply to dramatically increase over the next year?
You have to build it.
Right.
Right?
It's got to be new construction.
Because it's not so much that people don't have their house for sale in the market.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's part of the problem. But the other part of the problem is there's just more people looking for housing, period. And I mean, whether it's apartments, like try to rent an apartment in Sussex County, Delaware.
Yeah.
It's very expensive and it's hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
Try to find a house, and it's shocking what you have to pay. There are still bidding wars happening, and people take these transactions very seriously. And, new construction just continues to get more and more expensive. It's more regulated through just a number of different state and county and federal, and that adds cost, and people want these houses to be built more energy efficient, which is great, but they just add costs, and ultimately every cost that's in the price of a new home is generally passed on to the buyer.
Yep.
So new construction is not inexpensive anymore to do. So
it's like the floor, what is required to build a brand new house now, the floor has never been higher.
Right.
Like in terms of cost, because the regulations have become such that the baseline for a house is just
right.
Efficient, an efficient home. It's got to have certain things. So
right.
And it gets regulated, like crazy.
Right.
These days.
And even just the cost to create a subdivision to put a house in,
mm-hmm.
and the time that has taken.
Yeah, because there's land.
There's land in Sussex County, but it takes time to do that. And then you factor in those higher interest rates. They get passed on in that world as well. There's been a
Mhm.
lot of inflation on building materials and supplies over the last couple of years that really wasn't seen as that common for the previous 10 years. So new construction is not going to be an affordable product. And so the folks at the low end are just in for a tough road because there was a time in Sussex County where $150,000 to $300,000 there were some good options, and right now there aren't, and that's not going to change.
Yeah.
It's not going away. And so I don't see how in Sussex County this inventory problem fixes itself. The only other solution would be is that builders overbuild. But I mean, that's hard to do in this regulatory environment.
Yeah, and they have to overbuild cheaply.
Yeah, they have to overbuild cheaply. They
Yeah.
have to overbuild by thousands
Yeah.
of units. I mean, literally, obviously, based on the numbers, this market would absorb, I don't know, another 2,000 units being for sale today
Mhm.
if they were just available. That would help balance out the market. So the market prediction for this is that real estate is going to continue to be a good investment on the residential side because it is so supply limited, and so that's not going to change. And if folks are looking for a price break, I don't see that in 2024. I mean, barring some, force majeure, act of God, some kind of crazy thing, a war that starts.
Yeah.
But, I mean, housing is just such a fundamental thing for folks, and there's not enough of it. So I don't know what the solution is, except to say that owning a home is going to be a good investment, but it's going to be an investment that requires a lot of capital
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. Mhm.
So.
Yep.
So that's really our big prediction for 2024. Do you have anything else? I mean, we could really embarrass ourselves if we got off topic here a little bit with predictions.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we could predict like 10 years out.
No, I'm just so what you don't know about Keith is he's a big football guy. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Oh
Keith?
man.
The 2024 Super Bowl. I don't even know what number it is.
Yeah.
50 something.
Yeah. I think I'm going to take the Ravens over the Lions.
Ravens over the Lions.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Right? So
It's tough for me not to pick the Rams though. They just seem like they're starting to
the Rams.
find it. Yeah.
Okay.
Stafford's playing really well.
Stafford is killing it. Okay, who wins the NBA? I mean, we can do this. Keith's very into sports. I'm not.
Yeah, the NBA is tough.
It's early.
It's
It's
gonna
early
be
right
it's gonna
now.
be it's gonna be Denver, and they're gonna play, and almost maybe the Celtics. But-
Okay.
but-
you don't even have to say who
but-
they beat. You just have to say who wins.
Denver wins. Yeah.
Denver wins.
Yeah.
All right. Can you make a hockey prediction?
No.
Okay, it doesn't follow hockey.
Yeah. Fortunately, my hockey knowledge is limited, very limited.
Okay.
Can you make a hockey
No.
prediction?
Not really.
What
I don't follow hockey.
Can you make a baseball prediction?
I can't.
Yeah,
I
me
know
neither.
less about, I don't know, hockey or baseball. I mean, I don't know. I'm what's called a casual sports fan, which means, I can win fantasy leagues if I pick on like team colors and stuff, not on actual.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like football, but that's the only sport that I really follow. So I will predict that in January of 2024 we have significant snowfall in Sussex County,
All right,
Delaware.
yeah.
That's a good one.
My kids would like that.
Right. I will predict that my granddaughter likes to fish because she has told me she will start to go fishing when she's 5, and
There
she
you go.
turns 5 in July of 2024. And that's really all I have. I can't think of. I'm not going to get into politics about who's going to win the election because
Yeah, that's crazy to think
It's-
about. That's coming up.
it's coming up, and
Mhm.
it's just sort of depressing.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately someone is going to win it, and I'm not sure America's going to love the winner either way. Even
Yeah.
the ones that vote for that winner might not love that, but it's a binary choice. I mean, you walk in there, you got A or B. So
That's what it is. I mean,
Right.
and I mean, I think, yeah, it's Just such a sensitive topic anyway.
Right.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Right. So there it is. We have completely beclowned ourselves at the end of this podcast if you listened, or we are geniuses.
Yeah, and you're just you're hanging on every word
Or
for the
you-
next podcast because
Or
we
you
have
should be.
Yeah. we have
If
so
you're
much
not,
knowledge.
I mean, did you see what we just nailed? We just nailed a bunch of stuff. So if you're listening to this, in 2026 and you realize, wow, these guys had 2024 in a lockdown.
Interest rates are 5%. Denver won the NBA Finals, and the Ravens won.
Right. So if that happens, then you should probably check us out. So listen, this is the So You Want to Build a House podcast. I'm Scott Daly.
I'm Keith Strom.
Have a great day.